The China Ocean Shipping Company, otherwise known as COSCO, is a merchant marine that is essentially a naval arm of the People's Liberation Army. It is also a major arms supplier to dictators and to terrorists. In 1996, a COSCO ship called the Empress Phoenix sailed into the port of Oakland, California, carrying 2,000 automatic weapons that were destined for Los Angeles street gangs. The chairman of one of the two Chinese arms companies implicated in this scheme later had coffee at the White House. The naval station in Long Beach, California closed in 1991, but it did not remain unoccupied. A Marine Reserve training center that had been destroyed by an earthquake was allowed space there. But COSCO also wanted the naval station. So in November 1996, the White House placed a series of phone calls to Long Beach officials. The Clinton administration made it clear that leasing the port to COSCO was their preference. In the end, the United States Marines lost their space, and Communist China's COSCO, with the help of Bill Clinton, got what they had lobbied for. They got control of the naval station at Long Beach.
Johnny Chung is a Taiwanese businessman, lives in Southern California. Probably a little bit better than some of the rest of this crowd that shows up in this little drama, we think, marginally better. He was trying to promote his business interests, and he was pretty honest about how he saw things. For example, he's famous for saying that the White House is just like a turnstile in a subway. You have to put coins in to pass the gate. And he put a lot of coins in, something in the order of several hundred thousands of dollars. In fact, he dropped a $50,000 check on the First Lady's chief of staff one time when he was visiting. Depending on what records you used, he went in and out of the White House 50 to 60 times, something like that. And the question then is, where did the money come from that he was donating to the Democratic National Committee? And we believe that a lot of the money he was donating came from Chinese military intelligence sources.
Johnny Chung went to Hillary Clinton with a number of requests for Chinese officials. A meeting with President Clinton, a tour of the White House, lunch at the White House, a photo opportunity with the First Lady, an invitation to attend the President's radio address. Every request was granted, and on March 11, 1995, Johnny Chung, with his communist Chinese friends, attended President Clinton's weekly radio address. It all fell into place after Chung handed a check for $50,000 made out to the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, to Hillary's chief of staff, Maggie Williams, following a March 9th photo opportunity with the First Lady. Two photographs in particular speak volumes about the deals this White House has cut. The first shows President Clinton and the First Lady with Macau criminal syndicate figure Neglep Seng. The second photo was taken at the Sai Lai Buddhist Temple and shows Vice President Gore with Ted Sioing. It's important to recall that both men are in the business of exploiting Asian women for prostitution. Many of these women are underage and are sold into slavery by their poverty-stricken families. Often they are encouraged to develop narcotic habits in order to keep them dependent. Who would have guessed that Bill Clinton and Al Gore would literally sit down to dinner with these men in exchange for millions of dollars in illegal donations, much of the money coming from their prostitution rings?
The evidence clearly establishes that important technology, missile technology, computer technology, and probably in the near future, nuclear technology, has been and will be made available to the government of Communist China. This will have, I believe, and already has begun to have very serious, devastating consequences for us and perhaps some of our allies. For example, the Communist Chinese Long March rocket, which never marched very long because it kept blowing up. Their decoupling systems were inadequate. Their guidance systems were inadequate. So they did not pose as serious a threat as they otherwise would to the United States of America. Now, as a result of decisions by the Clinton administration to relax export controls and based on actions by certain U.S. companies who put the almighty dollar ahead of our national security and the national security of this country and our citizens, Communist China now has been able to remedy the problems with their long-range rockets, those that would be targeted at the United States or that are used to launch satellites into orbit. They now have been able to solve the decoupling problems and the guidance problems, so they pose, one, a direct danger to this country because we have enhanced the capability of the Communist Chinese government to launch successfully missiles at the United States and to place into orbit spy satellites. Moreover, that technology is now, we already know, finding its way to third countries that are adversarial to us as well, such as Iran. Thirdly, from a commercial standpoint, by virtue of our enhancing the ability of the Communist Chinese to develop more successful and reliable launch vehicles, we're undercutting our own aerospace industry. So we're hurting ourselves not only from a national security standpoint, but from a commercial standpoint as well. This poses a direct threat to the national security of the United States of America and our allies.